Do this for my father, who I've only seen from time to time.
Hi guys, it is time. I think this might be the first time I've ever done a video like this, and I'm excited. So this is my favorite Korean makeup products of 2016. Now, I know everybody has their own favorites, so whatever your favorite is, if I didn't mention it, put it down in a comment below because I want to know. And then if you want more ideas of more makeup stuff to try, we'll have all these comments to look at and see people's reviews. Make sure that when you post the makeup item that you like, you also mention the skin type you have, especially if you're mentioning a primer or a foundation. And I'm makeup free today because as I go through each one of my favorite items, in order to make sure that I limited myself to one of each item, I'm actually gonna be doing my face at the same time. That way I can't talk about like 6 foundations. I have to focus on the ones that were my all-time favorites and most used. So let's start with eye primer. My favorite eye primer of 2016 is still the Etude House Proof 10. I tried the Innisfree one, people recommended it, but I always find myself going back to this. It's just all around my favorite, and I find that it is a really, really good dupe for the Urban Decay Primer Potion. The only negative thing I have to say about it is I don't like the packaging. I think it's really difficult to get all of the product out, and so you end up wasting a lot of product, but at the same time, it's cheap. So if you've been following my channel for a while, you know that my favorite eyeshadows from South Korea are the Innisfree and the Etude House single shadows, but I wanted to mention probably a breakout star for me, and that is the Etude House Personal Color Palette. I was absolutely blown away by the shades and the shade range. If you want to see a full review and swatch, I'll link it down below so you guys can see that. Just know that I absolutely love this. I find that the shades are really, really nice, and out of the two, I prefer the warm toned to the cool toned, but that's also because I prefer warm toned eyes to cool toned eyes. So for this look today, I used the lightest color as my transition shade. I used this kind of pinky peachy color just on this outer edge, and then I went and I placed this just in the center of my lid. So let's move on to eyebrows. My favorite eyebrow products of 2016 were the Pony Effect, her slim pencil that is very similar to the Anastasia brow pencil, and the Etude House Color My Brows Concealer. Now, I do know that this specific color is just discontinued now, which makes me really sad. And a lot of people really like the Shin one as well, but Shin does not have a color that suits my eyebrows, and I wanted to be authentic to the products that I used the most. I find still that this is one of my all-time favorite formulations and brushes, and it just makes my brows look good. So next I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the face. Now, I ended up trying a primer towards the end of 2016, and it blew my mind at how good it was, and that is by J1. I'm inserting a picture right here because I'm still working with like another sample from Sephora. The negative part about this primer is it is $42, which is why I haven't actually purchased it full yet, but considering that I keep going back to it, I'm gonna buy it. It is on my list. Now, the formula of this is really strange. When you put it on, it's almost like putting on one of those really sticky masks, but then it spreads out and it sets, and it just helps your foundation glide on really nicely. It firms up the skin. I find it does reduce pores, and it just grabs onto foundation, so foundation lasts all day long. By far, my favorite Korean primer to date. So I think I mentioned quite a bit how much I love the Innisfree Ample Cushion, but because I do so many cushion reviews, and I do want to be honest with still, once again, the foundation that I use the most, the Innisfree Ample Cushion was a cushion that I use pretty much only in the winter, but I still would use this other product sometimes in the winter and pretty much all summer long, and that is the Pony Effect Seamless Foundation. I reviewed this. I'll put the review down below as well. I find that this is good for more combination normal or dry skin types. It has a very natural finish, and I find that the foundation itself is a medium coverage. It just sits really beautifully on the skin and stays really nicely throughout the day. And to blend it out on my skin, I'm going to be using my extremely dirty Daiso sponge. My favorite sponge of all time is the Real Techniques sponge, but the Real Techniques sponge is technically by Pixie Woo, and although you can buy it in South Korea and you can get it on iHerb if you want to, I'm sticking with my favorite one from South Korea, and that is this Daiso one. Although technically I guess Daiso is a Japanese brand, but this one, discovered in Korea. Looks like I have a foundation mustache. my favorite powder to set my foundation with is still the Innisfree No Sebum powder. As always, if you've been watching me for the entirety I've been on YouTube, you know that this is my ride or die. I love it. I do have to mention though, because it is an anti-sebum powder, if you use it to really set the concealer underneath your eyes, I highly suggest you use a very light amount because it will dry out the area underneath your eyes. I do not recommend using this for baking under the eyes, but it is fantastic for oil control, taking away shine, and helping like other powders such as your blush and your contour blend seamlessly onto your face. So I'm a total dunce and I forgot to put on my favorite Korean concealer. So I'm just gonna do that now, and let's pray it doesn't look totally terrible with the powder, which it shouldn't, but let's just pray. Now the two concealers that impressed me the most are the Dual Veil Concealer from the Face Shop, and then this Moist Creamy Concealer from Etude. I'm always gonna mess that up. Now this is great because it's super pale and the consistency of it is nice, but once again, I'm going to use the one that I used the most often, and that was the Dual Veil Concealer. I also enjoy the fact that this has a stick concealer on one end and liquid on the other, so that way you can do underneath the eyes with the liquid, and any spots you have on your face you can treat with the stick concealer. So now moving on to contour, my favorite contour product of 2016 was the Shin Stealer Contour Powder. Now, I'm really pale. When you're pale, you need a contour powder that's a lot ashier, and I found that a lot of the contour powders and creams in Korea are still really warm toned and show up really warm toned on the skin. So being able to mix the lightest and the darkest to make a cooler shade worked really well in helping me create my own kind of custom contour shade. I find that the product itself is really pigmented, it's really nice, and a lot of people have asked me whether I prefer the Art Class by Rodin from Too Cool for School or this one. I do prefer this one, and the reason why is this one has 3 colors that are basically identical to the Art Class by Rodin, and that cool tone shade, which really helps fair toned skin get the more cooler toned contour that we need. Now there are a lot of really nice blushes in South Korea, but there's always one that I gravitated towards. It's the only one that has a really visible divot in it as the one that I used the most often, and that is the Samo Single Blusher, and it is in the shade Naked Peach. It's number 04. It's got a subtle shimmer to it. It's just a light kind of pinky peach, but it looks so beautiful on my skin tone. There's just something about it that I feel really suits my face, and so it is my all-time favorite blush. Alright, so let's go into my favorite Korean highlighter. Now, this one was tied with the Shin Stealer highlighter because I do love how soft and natural and beautiful that highlighter is, but the Pony Effect highlighter in First Chance stole the show. There's just something about the reflection that really reminds me of when you get like a white or a pink duochrome where it shines that kind of yellow. It's such a beautiful shine on the skin. I find that the price of this highlighter is pretty high. I did end up getting mine in one of those bundles for a little bit less. I just love how it looks on my face, that it is probably the most used Korean highlighter that I used in 2016. You know I'm gonna be highlighting my Cupid's bow all day long. So let's finish up the eyes and I will be right back. Now let's go into my favorite Korean eyeliner from 2016, and that is the Innisfree Powder Proof Brush Liner. I just absolutely love this liner. I do have backups already with me. I made sure to buy them before I left Korea. I do not agree that this is powder proof. I do find that after a while you might want to just, put some micellar water on a pad and just kind of wipe your brush off on it. But I like this better than the Clio one for the very specific reason that I prefer brush to felt so much more. The felt tipped markers just skip over little lines and bumps on my eyes, and then it's set so fast you can't fill in those wrinkles without like it dragging on your eye, and I just am not a fan. I find that this works just as well as the Clio one on my eyes at least. And I actually, when I was in South Korea, I tried a swatch of the Clio brush liner compared to this one and just like spit on my finger trying to rub it off. The Clio one just disappeared like this, and then this guy was still there. So still my favorite. Now, my favorite mascara from South Korea is the Skinny Cara, the waterproof version from Innisfree. I use these ones on my lower lashes so they don't smudge. I tried finding a regular mascara for my upper lashes, but I just hated all of them. I found that a lot of the Korean brands use the more silicone brushes, and something about the formula that they have with those brushes always made my lashes look super clumpy and just ugh. I much prefer more natural lashes, just kind of lengthened a little bit, darkened a little bit, but no clumping. I find that with the very small brush that this has, and it's got some fibers to it as well, it just adheres to those lower lashes really nicely. Although it takes a really long time to do your upper lashes, I found that a lot of my Korean friends, their upper lashes are a lot shorter, so I feel like this would be less of a hassle for them, but for me it just took forever and I'm lazy. I want things to be done a lot faster. It's not Korean, but I'm not gonna lie to you and pretend like I used a Korean one when I didn't. I used the CoverGirl, the Lash Blast Volume in brown. I had my sister send me another one, so I used probably 3 about the time I was in South Korea, because I bought another one when I went home that last August. It's the one I use. Now, moving on to lips, my all-time favorite lip liner is from Etude House. I can't find it. I think it might be at work at Sephora. But I really like the 2 lightest shades. I think one is called Pink Beige and the other one might be Rose Pink. But they're the 2 lightest shades and they're my favorites. I love them. I will be ordering more. Because I'm not going to be putting a tint on my lips, I am going to tell you what my favorite long-lasting kind of water tints are. If you really do enjoy those more watery, super long-lasting, super pigmented tints, my favorite by far, and has been for a long time, is just the Tony Moly tints that are like in this square, kind of, they look like nail polish. They're just my favorite. They last forever, they stain forever. I also like the ones that kind of look like they're a lip gloss from Etude House. Those are nice as well, but the Tony Moly ones are still by far my all-time favorite. And for my favorite lipstick that I used for 2016, I'm gonna have to go once again with my most used, and that is the Innisfree Real Fit, and this is in the shade number 7. It's a really beautiful peach pink nude, and I fell in love with it. I find that I'm someone that is a little bit of a makeup crazy addict. I switch it up every day, but this is one of those ones that I kept reaching back for it again and again and again, and then I always wore it to school all the time. If anyone had a question what I was wearing on my lips, it was the Innisfree Real Fit in number 7. It's just still my all-time favorite, although there are other formulas, of course, in South Korea that are great. My other personal favorite is the Etude House chiffon line, not their matte line. I find those are a little too matte and too dry, but their chiffon line are just really nice. And as far as a finishing spray goes, I didn't have a favorite Korean finishing spray. I tried a few, and so far I still end up going back to my favorite, which is from NYX. So I didn't put that in this video. So once again, if there's anything that you absolutely love and swear by, make sure to put that down below, because I really do want to hear about it. I love hearing what you guys love, and I love trying different things. I mean, I have a crap ton of makeup, but there's no such thing as too much makeup. I have a lot of videos in the works, or at least I have all these ideas, and I'm so excited to bring these out for you. That's all I have for you guys today. I will be having a skincare version of this later, although I'm having a lot harder time like narrowing down one thing I like for some things, because I bounced around on a lot of products. So if you want me just to focus on the ones that I kept reaching back for, I can. If you want me to focus on just my ride or dies, let me know down in the comment below what you would prefer. Like I said, that's all I have, so bye. Hi guys, so I have a get ready video with you guys today about this look right here, but I also have a little gift for you.